to help you figure this out, if you were to move your fingers, we have a butterfly. If you don't have a butterfly, you are not doing the right thing. If you're down here somewhere doing weird crap, that is not what I asked you to do. You've got to shake, slide, and you've got to hold like this. Now bring your fingers down onto the palm, on the base of the thumb, and let them hold onto the base of your thumb. And now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it so they're on top. And the reason you're going to turn it so they're on top, I'll actually tell you, is when the disease moves further and further along, this motion of muscles is the natural movement of muscles in late-stage dementia. The arm is going to curl in like this. The body is going to curl like this. And you go and put it down, and you go down, and you put it together, okay? Because these are the muscles that are strongest. All the muscles turn on near the late stages of dementia because when your motor strip dies, it leaves all the muscles turned on. But the ones that are strongest are your flexors and your adductors and your pronators of your forearm. And that's why their arms are going to turn in like this. And if you try to turn their arm out like this, it's going to be very uncomfortable in their shoulder girdle and in their forearm. You don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is let them stay here. So it's called, this position is called hand under hand. My hand is under their hand. Now this is a really critical handhold, and I want you to get real used to it because it does several things. Number one, it connects us. But the second thing it does is protect each of us. We are protected when we have this handhold. Because if she wants to do something, the first thing she's going to do is let go of me and warn me that she doesn't want me here. If I don't have her hand and I'm doing something she doesn't like, what's the very first thing she's going to do?
I'm going to hit you.
She is going to grab or try to hit me because she sees me as intrusive. If I have her hand, then the first thing that when she doesn't like what I'm doing, she will do is give a little push away, and I can say, Suzanne, it's okay, okay? Yeah? Not so much. All right. You want me to go? Can we stop? Okay. Now, notice what I'm doing. I am to the side of her, not in front of her. This is really critical. We're going to come back to it. You never want to block somebody in because you tell them there's no way out except through me. And you do not want them going through you. And you don't want them trying to get away from you either because that increases the risk for them and for you. Because when they try to get away from you, Suzanne was working with me and she stood in front of me and she came at me. No, you're normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Be the person who's the caregiver and I'm demented now.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Oh, no.
Okay, so what just happened? I fell. Why did I fall? Because she moved toward me and it scared me and I backed off. And I didn't have the balance to walk backwards. Because that skill will leave long before this skill leaves. So I'm up and walking, but I can't go backwards. Because that's an advanced skill. And so I'm going to lose my balance. And what's she going to do when she sees me start to lose my balance? Because I do it in slow motion. She's going to try to keep me from losing my balance. So now what's going to happen? We're both going down. Yeah, and if she tries to catch her balance, she might actually break her wrist, hurt her arm, twist, turn. She tries to take my weight. This is where accidents happen. And they happen because you startle me, I fall back, and you try to help. Bad idea. You never want to be opposite me. This is making noise. Is that annoying you guys who are filming? Probably. Well, I'm not doing it. All right. So here we go. We're in this position. I want you to do something with the person's hand. Go ahead and get in this position. This is called what? What's it called? Hand under hand. Now go back to this position. Go back to a normal handshake. Person with dementia starts squeezing a little bit. They squeeze you and it starts hurting. What are caregivers going to do? Grab them about the wrist to try to get them loose. As you do this, you're telling their brain it's a fight.
Yes.
So then this other hand comes over and no, I need you to let go. Ow, God, you're hurting me. Stop. Now we get in this mode. Now she starts.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay? We need medication. Who started this? I did, because I should have recognized if I give her my hand and it stays there, she's going to want to squeeze it, because late in the disease, people are very tactile. They seek out touch. You can watch them. They're all over. Yeah, you gotta, hey, baby. And you gotta, and oh, look at me, we got a hair. Yeah, ooh, nice boobies. I like that. Yeah, oh, yeah. You got a pretty, hey, baby. Oh, look at that. Yeah, oh, I got it. Now, notice, automatic, huh, on your part, wasn't it? Yeah, when it went toward my mouth, what was your behavior? You were trying to pull away from me, which just made me want it more. And so then the other hand came up, because you were going to try to push my head back, weren't you? She was trying to what? Protect herself. But what she didn't realize is everything she did stirred me on, and it's going to make it worse. And that's just our automatic behavior. Here's what I'm telling you. You can't have an automatic reaction when you're a caregiver. You've got to be responsive, not reactive. You've got to learn how to respond. You've got to use your brain, because I can't use mine. You have to get really, really good at paying attention to what's going on and make decisions out in front, so that you don't get to the point where you're going, eek. We don't want eek, because when you start going eek, you're going to flight, fight, or fright. I don't care who you are, I don't care how you are. When we get that desperate, we start doing automatic, autonomic things. And that is not a good thing for you or the person with dementia, because they don't know when to stop. So you want some tools now, don't you? Yeah, here's what it's called. Substitution, not subtraction. You want to substitute. You want to give them something else to take, to do, other than what they're doing, because you don't want to try to take something away. If you try to take something away, you get a reaction. So here's what's going to happen. When I start towards you, you want to offer your hand to me rather than let me come all the way up on top of you. You need to give me things to mess with. So when I... Now notice how she's looking for stuff. Now what she's done is, now she's got a thing in her hand which is going to make it hard for her. What she's going to want to do instead, don't grab stuff, go, Teepa, hey, you want to make yourself the thing I go for, but you want to control what you do. So remember this hand thing? When you get in this position, you're at risk. But if you immediately slide up around, let the person squeeze you as hard as they can. Nail me. Just as hard as you can. Nail harder. Now, you'll notice the blood is collecting in my thumb because she's squeezing all around my thumb. Notice how you can tell she's squeezing really hard. See the white joints? But here's the thing. Because it's just simply one structure, not four, and she's not squishing them together, she's not hurting me. Late in the disease, if somebody tends to use their nails, okay, because their hand is doing what? Closing up. We need to acknowledge that. Put on a glove and do up a washcloth. Fold it up into fourths and stick it right in there. So guess what? They get what they need, and you're safe. Because if you have a washcloth all folded up under your glove, when she digs in, what's she digging into? The washcloth. She's getting her touch needs met, but she's not hurting me. And so I am able to let her hold on to me and do what needs to be done, rather than trying to, no, don't do that. And we start this. Now, why don't you want to be grabbing people's forearms? Let me tell you. The first place old people lose fat on their body is under the skin, on the back of their hand and up their forearm, on the top of their feet and up their shins, and on the top of their head and on their backs. They lose their fat pads. Now, let's look around. Who in here is in their 20s?
Okay.
Liar. Liar. Here's one. All right, take a look at the back of this hand, and there's probably some other ones around here. We got some other young ones in this group. What I want you to do is look at the back of her hand. Think of a toddler. A toddler has so much fat pad on the back of their hand, they don't have knuckles, they have dimples. And they're real juicy. She's still juicy. I'm not. Okay, so let's take a look. Look at the back of my hand versus the back of her hand. What can you see in the back of my hand that she can't? Veins, tendons. Look what happens. Look what happens to the back of my hand. You can lift the skin up. I have got so much loose skin. Well, I have loose skin because I've lost all my fat pad under. And it's not just my hand. It's getting saggy. By the time you're in your 80s, you have almost no fat at all. Your skin is very thin, very fragile. Now, fat does two things. It pads and it insulates. Padding and insulation. So you've lost your padding and your insulation. So what happens when, by accident, quote unquote, I grab her by the forearm to keep her from hurting me? She'll have 4 fingertip bruises and a thumb bruise. And if she pulls away from me, I can actually peel some of her skin off. Okay? If she kicks out at me, she's going to get all bruised up and actually maybe have skin tears on the front of her shins. When that happens, she becomes really upset, and now she's fighting for her life. This is where we get ourselves in trouble. Now, this all started because I let her hold on to me, or she took hold of me because she didn't understand what I was doing. Do you see how automatic she was on that? And what I want to do is not get into that mode. So what I'm going to do is offer, turn, hold. Because now I don't need to do that. And if I need to walk somewhere with her and she's a touch or feeler, what I'm able to do, slide my other hand underneath, do hand under hand over here, and I actually have full control because your arm is the rudder that guides the ship. And so what I'm doing is she thinks she's the boss, but actually I am. And if I add a little rhythm, do 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 do. Now, why am I singing? Because music and rhythm is something they retain. They will retain the ability to sing and have rhythm. They can dance better than they can walk, because that's a part of the brain that's preserved. So we need to talk about what's gone and what's left. But what's great about this is this feels okay, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing about this hand thing. Go back with your partner and get their hand. We're just going to do the one hand right now. Hold their hand. Now, person with dementia, I want you to glance away. Just look at, glance away, notice something else in the room. Caregiver, take the hand you are not using, lay it gently on the back of their hand, creating an artificial warmth and padding. Did you hear what I just said? Artificial warmth and padding, because the palm of your hand has padding and warmth in it. And what you're doing is substituting for what they're missing, and it actually feels pretty good. It's called a comfort sandwich. Feels pretty good, feels fairly comfortable. Here's the other thing I'm going to tell you about this hand hold. When you put pressure in a human being's palm, it calms a human being down. It's called proprioceptive input. Proprioception, slow, deep pressure, causes a person to calm. Simply doing this will calm somebody. Yeah. Now, if I gently pump at a slow rhythm, just a gentle pump, there are a couple things that happen. When you gently pump, it causes the person to look at you. It's really neat. The reason that works, the oldest sensory motor track in the human being, sensation and then movement. Sensation and movement is eye-hand. Eye-hand. Now I want you to think about babies. You lie a baby on its back and you put the dangly crap down when they're real little. And they're laying there and they're sort of doing their crazy stuff, learning to move their bodies, and all of a sudden their hand whacks one of the rings. And then they go spastic because they suddenly realize, oh my Lord, I control everything. And then they learn how to grab hold of it. And the next thing they're going to do is hand, eye, mouth. hand, eye, mouth. And the reason they go toward the mouth is the most sensitive part of the human body. And what they're learning is about the object. They put it in their mouth because that's where you have the most sensory end organs. And so as you explore it with your mouth, you learn about it. And then you get a little older and you don't have to put it in your mouth. You can put it out here and pay attention to it, and you'll be able to manipulate it and handle it and figure out what to do with it. It's kind of cool. As the brain dies, it dies in the opposite way it was developed. And so the last skill that we'll lose is eye-hand. And what I'm doing is I'm getting their eye to come to me by touching the hand. And by using the hand, I get her to look, and now I can give her information. If she's not looking at me, I'm relying on verbal communication, which we all know deteriorates. We'll talk more about how it deteriorates. But what I want you to realize, this hand position is wonderfully important when it comes to being this close to somebody. Because she's safe and I'm safe. She feels pretty comfortable with me being here. If I take the handhold away and I stand here, this gets really uncomfortable very quickly. And the reason that happens, get 5 fingers out. And you can sit down for a little bit, Suzanne, I'll be back. They have 5 senses that they use, 5 critical ways that they get information into the system. With dementia, all 5 of these are compromised. But I want you to realize what they are, what we start with. Start with your thumbs up. What you see. Visual information, critically important to understanding the world around you. So thumbs up is visual. Visual. Then get your index finger out. What you hear, auditory information incoming. Ring-a-ling-a-ling, ring-a-ling-a-ling. Suzanne. Now, our given name is incredibly powerful because it's something that identifies us as somewhat unique and special. So when we use somebody's name, I want you to use it in 2 different ways, though. I want you to use it as a gift, and then I want you to use it like your mother used it. Now, when I did this, what automatically came to mind? Being scolded. You can use your voice, you can use a name like a weapon. Suzanne, Try that with your partner. Say their name and go, no. Suzanne, Suzanne, Suzanne. Shout their name several times. Suzanne, 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 Suzanne. How many of you want to tell the person, shut up? If you had dementia, you would. Not only would you tell them to shut up, you'd go, get out, get out, get out, or you might go over and, or you might not. You might. What am I saying to you? Leave it alone. Back off. Leave me be. What's happening is something has happened here, and I'm trying to give you information back. What you picked up on was not just the word I was saying, but the tone of voice I was using and the visuals. It's a two-way street. Realize these signals that we give back and forth, really important when you're a caregiver. You not only want to know what you're doing, what do you have to really pick up on? What they're giving you back. It's a two-way system. What goes in comes out. What comes out needs to be absorbed by you and understood. Because you have to use these cue systems too. You need to pick up on this stuff. Third way that we communicate and get information in and out. This middle finger, touch down on the back of your other hand and move it around a little bit. Now I want you to know that this is one finger, but it has two functions. It has touch, but it also has movement. Movement and touch, movement and touch, sensation in and movement. You learn things about the world both by what you feel on your skin, but also what you do with your body. So I can tell with touch what something's temperature is, how heavy it might be, whether it's sharp, whether it's dull, what its texture is. But I can also tell where gravity is. And because I'm pretty skilled, what can happen with me is if I were carrying a cup of water across the room and I noticed something on the floor needed to be picked up, I can bend over, pick it up, and automatically keep the water upright against gravity without even thinking about it. Because I have done this so many years that my body just knows how to do that. By late in dementia, oh shit. And now I try to clean it up. And now I try to, because I don't have the skill to recognize water on the floor, uh-oh, dangerous, dangerous, and I just walk across it. And I fall, and you're with me, so you go down too. Now, your automatic behavior